So being a kid that grew up in the 80s with a Commodore 64, computer game music was really my music. It was what I listened to, more so than even pop or rock that was on your local radio station. These tunes were really my kind of soundtrack in the 80s, and there was one Sid musician that really rose above everybody else, and he was Rob Hubbard. So it's pretty hard to really pinpoint when I first heard a Rob Hubbard tune. I got my C64 in late 1984, so I definitely had heard some of his music before then, but the one that made me a super fan of his was Commando. This is my original cassette version I got in 1986, and I loaded this thing up just before school that morning, and as soon as that Commando title came on, and then music just blasts out like 100%. Relentless tune that just doesn't let up for a second. I was just, wow. It almost made me not even, press fire to play the game. I just wanted to listen to that tune. That's how good it was. And I played the arcade quite a lot. The tune in the arcade isn't anywhere near as memorable when you hear the C64 version by Rob, which is an extension of that. It blows it away in every sort of facet, and anybody that says that the arcade version is better is just plain lying. The double dose combination of International Karate and Arcade Plus, the music in those games were mesmerizing. The orchestral sound of it took you on a journey. They were long. They just felt like they were part of that game. A lot of the games I'd played before that, the music was just background filler. With Rob Hubbard tunes, it actually fused into the game and made it part of its DNA. It was equally as important as the gameplay. There were two games in particular that Rob did soundtracks for that me and my next door neighbor literally used to load these games up simply to hear the soundtracks. And there was Monty on the Run and The Last V8. Being a C64 owner, when you first load up Monty on the Run, you assaulted with these Spectrum style graphics, but when you start playing the game you get over it and you realize it's actually really good. But we used to specifically load that game up just to listen to the music. We would leave it on the menu screen and just listen to the whole thing, and it's a long tune, and then we would only start playing the game. Another one we used to load up specifically for the music was The Last V8. This game is notoriously difficult. It is insanely difficult, in fact, but and every time you die in the game it resets the music. So basically what we were trying to do is get as far as we can so we can hear more of the soundtrack. That's what we were playing the game for. That's how good the music was. And every time we died we would get angry, but sort of reset it back to the beginning. Rob's work also wasn't just relegated to that kind of mid-80s style that everybody remembers. His stuff from 87 and 88, his later C64 stuff, it really started to show like progression. He started using tons of samples and these big chunky guitar riffs and all his music. It didn't sound anything like his original stuff, and it just showed the progression as a musician. Stuff like the tune for Arcade Classics or Skate or Die. He started using samples and eyeball, stuff like that. It really took it all to like a crazy another level. That music was just as good as his older stuff. Rob's tunes will always be the sounds of my youth. Every single track is linked to a memory, playing with friends or family, and just good times overall. For that reason, he'll always be, for me, one of the greatest Sid musicians, and more accurately, just one of the greatest musicians ever.